You are through to the Mad Podcast. I am your host, Alex Murdoch, the Mad Poet. Here with Mr. Strings Theory himself. Got his
Yes,
page
sir.
popping right now. His page popping, and he's got the blog, which is doing well. Congrats on that, Strings.
Thanks, man.
How you doing
Appreciate it.
today?
I'm good. I'm good. So yeah, just setting new goals. On dropping more frequently, and yeah, more marketing, man. Let the people know that this is what we do. So
I mean, that's the way to go, man. You're a brand now yourself, Strings man, so you have to sort of think differently
yeah,
because you have quite on the blog, and people are waiting to hear what you have to say, man. So you have to just my thing is always just be professional. This stone man or this cold person.
mm.
I mean, man, with Tombstone, that's the coldest guy I ever seen in my life. So it's that type of thing I'm spend, and it's sort of of course, that's one of the reasons I chose it because it's somewhat on the theme of what we're speaking about.
hmm
But before we get to there, like what makes the situation? What takes you there? Like, and that's really the part of it. I'm really curious, and ideally, I want to start with an example, but it's just an example of it's a micro example of a macro situation
hmm
that we all go through. Um, Specifically, because a lot of people can relate to this example, is the going back to the Shannon Sharp situation, the young lady that he had the entanglement with.
mm.
I understand he had the chance to, well, he offered her the NDA allegedly, and she refused. So in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, with this being said, you could have actually avoided everything that's happened to you, including losing that 100 mil. You know, like that's
Crazy,
crazy to me. That's whew,
man.
you get what I mean. So I'm thinking about things like these, and that's really why I want to use that as like that just that experience, not necessarily specifically him, but that example, and just broad scope it, and just sort of kind of use it as a case study to study this whole thing, man, because I'm very curious about it, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it. So, I mean, I could start you off. It's just in the case of like, I give you an example. Are you familiar with the word called introversion? Introversion.
We're always
Shout out to
learning new
you for
things on
listening as
this.
well. Huh?
We're always learning new things on this pod.
Well, I was coming with something.
Of course.
So the word is called if I get it right, introversion. Sorry, I'm getting it wrong.
Oh, sorry.
Introjection. That's the
Okay. Answer's still the same.
word. So introjection is basically like an internalizing of your external environment, if you get what I mean. So I
Yes.
guess what I'm saying is it's the internalization of your environment, and perhaps I'm speaking about who he was,
Hmm.
and the place that he been around poor people, the poor mentality, the ideals where people are just hating on each other. Now you project that onto yourself. Now
Yeah.
decades later on, we look, Shannon Sharp is not that guy anymore.
Mm.
He's up there. Do you get what I mean? Like
Mm.
monument. Yet he still has some of these introjection that we're speaking about. And so,
Internalizing.
yeah,
Okay.
and so self-sabotage, all these type of things becomes a factor, and so many things that go with it. So that's what I mean by introjection, because after a while you think to yourself, man, how thick-skinned can you be? Because this can't be your first rodeo. Do you get what I mean? Where, and that's the real question. Because as much as certain people have alluded to that fact, we know for we know for certain that it just and like I don't have evidence to speak on it like that, but from what I understand, it's not his first rodeo. Do you get what I mean? So it makes you wonder, what type of individual are we talking to? Are we talking about? You want to share anything?
Um, yeah, the word. I didn't know there was words for these things, but it yeah. Someone today told me that they could feel that I'm at the end of the journey that I'm on, and
What does that mean?
yeah,
Explain that.
relating to my work environment, and I said absolutely.
Okay.
Um, and it's it's profound how um, the longer you stay somewhere, the more it changes you. So work is always a great example to use with that because you can't leave as you please. Um, so in those refined spaces, people how you choose who you choose to associate with, and what your message becomes to those around you helps to dictate the quality of the environment that you are in. So, for example, backstab and chit chat and trade information in hopes of looking good in front of people, but um, it makes you think at what point did they think doing this was necessary, or was it always there and they just went in the environment to exercise it? So with the Shannons of the world, um, it's always it's always fascinating because it's like, how do you not realize the position you're in, even if you have moments of weakness? It's like you are operating at a level that ever do. It's just as simple as that. So the way he goes about um, that happening and the amount and who, it's just, yeah, it's because it's like he wasn't coerced. That wasn't the. He went in there and said, "Hey, what's up? Let's get to know each other." Knowing her line of work and yeah. So as you was sharing him as an example, I thought about his background and upbringing. Country boy. Um, when
As a
we say
mother.
sticks, nothing like it. Them is that they got to chop firewood. That's
Yeah.
the kind of sticks they're in. So and at the time, mind you,
And
I think
I agree as well. So I know
mm,
what you're talking about.
yeah, and mind you, he's what, almost 60, I think. So racism was very rife.
Yeah.
So like he's got
60s, dark skin,
yeah,
man. I think about
yeah,
6'3", 6'2".
like having a heavy experiences in that side of the world to this side is a world of things he must have seen. So coming up for him, I assume, just like most, when we start diving into knowledge of self, you're like, wow, some of these things don't just disappear because doing well for yourself. They're always there, and they tend to show up in situations that test your resolve to the growth that you've accumulated to get to where you get to. So it's very unfortunate that um, that happened because so much men are striving to get into their own forms of that kind of similar position. So I always appreciate the wake up call that it sends to men like us. Is like, listen, mate, no one told you not to um do what you want to do, but once you're at that level, you gotta move so differently. Um, because it's just too much to lose, man. Way too much.
I would say, I would say, and the reason why I don't necessarily have to or want to
Mm.
just keep it on there, I just wanted to start there, is because this is such a vast topic, man, in terms of
Hmm.
like people just seeing things and experiencing things, other situations, and they still don't think about preventative measures. They just sort of kind of go head first into the chaos, and that's what I'm speaking about. But yes, to the point, sometimes I think about entitlement as well. Is there a sense of arrogance there? Because you think, oh man, I'm deserving of this. And that's the other thing as well. You know, you see a lot of people, they think they deserve things in general. And I'm thinking to myself, how does that work? You know, when you don't necessarily, like, I just, the concept of deserve is somewhat alien to me to a degree, especially somebody that is just, I've always pretty much gone out and done the work to get what I want, sort of thing. So it's quite the question because I see so many people that I would say I put it like this: it's more called the majority than the minority when it comes to it, and I wonder about things like that. And on the side of that, is there a sense of arrogance? You know, overly confident because it's sort of your environment from being this person, um, this sportsman. You sort of bring that same energy, and we speak about the alpha energy or the but that's sort of a spectrum in itself, and so you bring that from that environment into this, thinking that you're going to scare somebody like you do on the field, but not knowing that she's got an army behind her, so to speak, and it's the wrong place for it, sort of thing. We always hear about these people, they're great on the field, or they're great in the arena being a sport. Corruption for a deity is not the same as a human. Corruption for a deity just means that you got corrupted deity. Corruption for a human means that you've got corruption corrupted. It's prone to destroy you, sort of thing. It's infectious. It's a disease. More than likely you most likely won't recover, and you probably don't have the time to figure if you could recover, even if you could, so to speak. I'm going with that. Any thoughts?
Yeah, and the flame really, really paints a picture of how, don't want to say at the top and at the bottom, but depending on where you go, the rule. I hope everyone gets what I mean by when I say rules, but the 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 game changes. It
Mm,
definitely does, and this is why what I saw something that said the more information you have, the more moves you can make, essentially. once those moves pay off, you enter a different. Yeah, I mean, that's how this system is broken down into. We have tax brackets for a reason. If you earn a certain amount, you are um, you can exercise that, or and you're also required to contribute a certain amount. Um,
Mm,
and if you try to jump those brackets, it does come back to um, haunt you if you don't do it correctly. Because if you don't have the aptitude to be comfortable or to adjust to those different brackets, becomes very, very difficult. Breathe, so to speak. So making mistakes is definitely part of what this entire thing is about. And it's just, it starts to become less unfortunate if you keep repeating those same mistakes. So when you say earlier, um, this is not his first rodeo, um, he should have said, listen, something's not right here. Let's take a step back. Um, and I think that's why the hero thing came to mind, because, like, the word itself is associated with going above and beyond, having this light about you. Um, but if used incorrectly, you can burn those closest to you, as well as yourself, because it no longer is just about you, it's about what you impact. Um, and man, that's why what cancel culture became a thing, if it still is, uh, because of that reversal of the people trying to say, hold on, um, our involvement success plays an advantage to how far you keep going. But if you toy with that, we realize the value we have in our contribution as well. So, yeah.
I like where you went there. Here's my question to you, Strings. Do you have non-negotiables?
Ooh, in life, absolutely. Um,
Hmm.
like, where would I be if I didn't have them?
Why do you think they're important, or
You'd fall.
why are they important to you?
If they weren't in place, I would fall for anything.
Mm. So you stand for something, basically.
Yeah, but I'm always fascinated because certain things make me reevaluate them in order not to be frozen at in the same place. So there's always a
Mm.
let's check in kind of thing to see if these foundations are still strong. So we're always re-engineering them, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I think one of the, we speak about, and pardon me, it is like right in my ear, but between two churches, what can I do? Um, to me, this would be the only counter or one of them that we're speaking about. Non, but to have non-negotiables, you have to have at least aligned to the ideals of a sovereign to some degree. Because what happens when there's a clash, and the only way to sort of keep this standard is to remain sovereign. Because and you said you mentioned something about an example. I do have one actually. I think his name is Steve Smith. Are you familiar?
Uh, no one comes to mind.
Steve Smith is ex-American football player.
No.
So
Sorry.
he was uh, this was quite recent as well. Um, he must have been sleeping around with one of his co-workers, if I get that right. And her husband found out and called him with her phone, and he picked up, and he actually knows the husband as well, and he was just cussing him, absolutely dogging him out for dogging out his wife, and it was a public incident, and if I recall correctly, he's currently being sued by him or something like that, by the guy. I think something to do because of the state the guy lives in, or the state they're in. He's allowed to sue him. Something to do with the South. You know how they do it in the South. Yeah, bit of disturbance. Yeah, so yeah, I think he's being sued at the moment, but it goes back to the same situation that we're speaking about. And he's married himself. Let's not forget about that part. Um, I don't know what the situation is with him and his wife, but yeah, it was quite interesting, and again, non-negotiables. Like, what is somebody like that? Like, I don't know if it's not, but sometimes it just seems like it is. Like, it's just it's a male thing where like we just go to some of the most chaotic to find pleasure sort of thing, and it's just like, why are you doing this to yourself, man? Do you get what I mean? And this is what comes to mind when I think about this guy. It's just that you could have so many different women, and he's a TV personality himself. You could have so many different women, but you go to and if I recall correctly when I was listening to the information, it appears to me like his wife does allow him to roam, but if I from my understanding, in certain situations like that, you do have situations like that where women are allowed to roam, but you can't make them look silly. That's the only thing you can't do. And it's fair to silly. At that point, the games are off, and now we go back to the same questions. Do you have non-negotiables on either side? Whether you're the one doing the hurt or you're the one being hurt, because to play the victim or play the villain, you have to have a certain type of mindset, which means you allow yourself to go get into certain positions. It's not both, it's either or sort of thing. And I think sometimes this is the situation we play. And for me personally, it just always keeps coming back to the human experience and what we go through, and the sacrifice to either distance ourselves from the chaos or to be prone to relive all these mistakes that we see other people making for themselves. Now the question is, where are you the village fool, or are you the one? Are you the wise? That's really what it is. But I guess at the really and truly, it all comes back to the same thing, man. It's just discipline. It's just different forms of it. It's like a spectrum to me. But I don't think people think about that to think about it to that degree. And that's why I thought it was quite intriguing to kind of just share this with you and just hear your opinion on it, you know?
Definitely touched on this before. If not, once men have completed the certain facets of what they're told to do, which is become successful, once they stop, it becomes very easy to be complacent about finding things that give them the quickest form of stimulation, which is the physical aspect. Um, and because of that, it just allows them to think that they are above things that could happen to them. Because it doesn't sound like it's not the first woman he's gotten involved with. But it just happens to be the one that causes him the most disturbance for him to say, "Oh well, maybe we was out of our depth here," and there's the price for it. Simply what it is. Um, but with that though, um, I think the non-negotiable parts come with um, the more you learn about yourself. What will you know? How do you measure your level of self-respect? To not be involved in certain situations in the first place, or um, somewhat putting yourself in other people's shoes for you to determine how you would not like to be treated. Um, and for the village fool to the wise man, it's definitely a pipeline because they will learn from each other. A wise man may know it all, but he may not have all the experience. And it's not to say that he isn't, but it's definitely a pipeline for a reason. You get from one end to the other by um, falling into decisions that you think are sound at the time. And a bad idea is a bad idea. An idea is a bad idea until you learn from it. Um, Otherwise, people who are doing certain things and not getting caught or karma hasn't happened, they think, yeah, this is great. Whatever. But still, from the outside looking in, someone will say, well, mate, that's not for me because I wouldn't want to live with the effects that might have on my conscience performing those acts or even thinking about executing certain things. So it's just, you know what, mate, it's just for you. Um, but because of that, it's what makes life interesting because if no one was making mistakes, we wouldn't be learning from each other about what not to avoid. And your favorite one about men who um, start later in life getting their act together, like, mate, what, who, because when I think about that, I would often wonder, like, who did you see in your many years of life so later on for it to just say this has to stop? Like, didn't you, surely there must have been people who you chose to actively ignore in your younger years, people who reached out to you to say, listen, mate, I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life, but um, what's the saying? Men see themselves um, in younger men. And because of that, they are more prone to offer wisdom to help them make better choices and take better steps. But for those who ignore that, yeah, the arrogance comes in because it's like, how can you say you deserve this when you have actively avoided making certain decisions to better your reality and circumstances? But my question is with because I wanted to ask you at the beginning, and because I mentioned the word, what do you replace deserving with if you do the work?
Worthy.
Hmm.
Worthy.
I
I
haven't.
was actually thinking about that the other day, man. Go on.
Mhm. No, I was just gonna say, to before I let you add on, it just went. Wow. Yeah, I think that word sounds separate from it being result dependent. If that makes sense.
Hmm. Yes, it does. It does. It does. Because worthy just means that you can handle the responsibility.
Preach.
Deserving is sort of synonymous with being entitled.
Mm.
So I see them. I see them as a little bit different. Um, Perhaps the ideals of trying to attain a level where you think you are worthy. Perhaps then just entertain the idea that you're deserving. But deserving only is only warrants when you've actually done the work. I would say,
Mhm.
because then it's not entitled. It's kind of like being confident. Okay, if I'm
Right.
confident and I haven't actually done the work, am I really confident? Or am I arrogant? So I think about that. But yes, I'd say worthy is the operative word because it's the responsibility. It's it's sort of like, for example, it's gonna be a little bit left, but um, the Meghan Markle situation, and I'm only saying this because we see how it's not the best fit, is it? And she's for me from I see chaos. I think she's chaotic. And again, men on their and their tendencies. So I'm thinking about this and I'm like, man, if he had just got somebody that was trained to play that role, where would he be now? You get what I mean? As opposed to stuck in the papers all the time, being spoken about people he don't like, saying things about him that's not true, just because she's just yeah, she's chaotic, man. She's chaotic, in my opinion. It's 20 hours. For me personally, that's the situation I see with a lot of things, and it comes back to being the difference between deserving and worthy, but deserving when you haven't done the work. It's like, a lot of times you always hear people, like the CEO or somebody that owns the company, they worked from the bottom up. That's somebody that's deserving. Now that puts you next to worthy. And then there's just, I think, being worthy is just, it's kind of like being gifted. Do you get what I mean? Where like you have such great instincts that you don't necessarily have to go through the whole situation to prove yourself. You just have it. And by just being, you're just that person. It just comes naturally to you. But deserving is a different thing because, as you know, if people get things and they haven't necessarily worked to understand what it takes to attain and get it, they usually abuse it. And I think that's where the transition from It's so fickle sometimes, being deserving as opposed to being worthy, in my opinion. So it's quite a tricky situation. It's quite a tricky situation. Were you going to say anything else?
No, I think I just wanted your take on that because I think the word ties into a lot of how we carry ourselves before we make decisions. If someone doesn't think of themselves a certain way, it doesn't fall too far from their value system and their non-negotiables,
Yeah.
because it's what someone who has a constant victim mindset all of a sudden has a backbone. It will throw you off because it's like, wait, this offended you, but nothing else does. Or my the favorite of they will protect their abuser, but or they'll be offended when someone says something bad about their abuser, but
Mm,
not the abuse itself. So I find that fascinating because it's like, wow. Um, and again, mistakes, um, or learning from the mistake would be to leave people at their in their own world because you know some of the things that have been in the papers about how they choose to what lengths they go through to protect that value system of that individual, causing this chaos and disruption. So yeah, fantastic word, bro, honestly, because I think that adds into the level of experience that you gain, adds to the confidence, hence making it more unbreakable. And I think with more wisdom, it doesn't become about proving yourself either, or falling to the stoops of people trying to trick you out of your position as well. Hence why some of the people that I respect, they have a very certain demeanor about them, and their experiences show, despite them having such unique personalities,
mm.
it's a very common thing that I pay attention to and look to always work on myself because it is a testament to the amount of responsibility that they carry as well, but make it look effortless. So that's always an amazing trait. You being one of them as well. So
Appreciate you, man. Um, this is what this is. I guess it's the dismount part of the the podcast.
gymnast.
So
Your
so
thoughts,
um
great. I get it. I love it.
so this is where I'm at with the strings, and it's sort of kind of just putting things together that we've been covering. You have wisdom, right? You have the deity complex, intelligence. I think intelligence, omniscience, these things are up there. I think worthy is next to intelligence, next to omniscience to a degree. It's kind of like, as creators as we are, you don't necessarily know where it comes from, but you're a conduit for it. If you put yourself in that position of being worthy, you don't necessarily know why you know what you know. You just know that you know it. Do you get what I mean? So if we could sort of kind of stick ourselves to that banner of omniscience, then that means that's the deity complex. That's the God complex right there. So now you're prone for corruption. That's synonymous to the human experience. And the reason why I say that is because the human experience is it's raw, it's real, but it's also we're also weak, we're also fallible. So as much as somebody's going to be disciplined, it's like an empire, right? It might be around for a long time, but it's prone to fall at some point. Now it might recover, but it's still going to fall. The question is, are you going to fall on your face, or are you going to fall and recover, or free slide off the mountain with a bloody parachute on your back or something like that? You get what I mean? It's just, I guess that's where we are. It's not if you're going to fall, it's are you, it's how you're going to fall. Are you going to be ready to pick yourself up? And are you going to pick yourself up? I guess for a human being, perhaps for me, that's where it's at. Because we can't shrug it off and be like, oh, tomorrow or in a few minutes, I'm like Wolverine, I'll be a new man. And even then, that's just endurance. He's not indestructible. He's not invincible. So for us, it's not necessarily the fall, it's the recovery. It's the lessons learned. We have to be deserving. Because that means you know how to fall and get back up. Can we afford to be worthy? That's the real question. Very tricky one. That's the quagmire right there. Can we afford to be worthy? Do you have the discipline? More times than not, I would say no. I would say no. These ninjas? Come on, man. Yeah. Now I don't see it. I don't see it. You might be wrong. You might tell me different, but I don't see it. So, I'm just thinking about all these variables, man, and we're prone to fall. We just have to be ready to get back up. That's where I'm at with it. Any last words, Strings?
Control yourself. Because it will get you jammed up if you don't.
That's a whole fact. That's a whole fact. Yeah, man. This was fun. This was fun.
Always.
Thanks for coming through, Strings.
Appreciate you.
And thanks for supporting the page, everyone. We have gone over the 500 mark for followers, supporters. So appreciate that.
Sick.
And we have had a few viral videos as well.
Hey.
So it has been positive. But
Mm.
we don't take for granted, man. All matters. And appreciate everyone for supporting. And people have been shared one or two comments here and there on episodes. I appreciate it all. And we've got so much more work to do, still skimming in the back, trying to plan how we're going to expand and elevate with giving people more of what they want from the platform.
Mm.
But as always appreciate, people supporting and sharing their opinion and their thoughts behind what me and the Strings are doing. Don't forget to check his page out. He did some good things out there. I will tag him in the video, and he's got his blog going on as well. So yeah, we're on the up. So thanks for everyone for supporting, and we'll keep it moving. Okay, I'm not going to say that. I won't say that, but I appreciate everyone. Until next time, take care.
Peace.